Hey guys, earlier today I did a video on 4 different perspectives that we can acquire about a particular person who has harmed us that will kind of help us forgive them. And right now I'd like to talk a little bit about our own healing and how we can take care of ourselves in the process. As much as forgiveness it's a command, it's something that God specifically asks us to do. It's something that we do for God, and it's also something that we do for ourselves because there is really few emotions actually that are as damaging to the body and to the mind than resentment and bitterness. And it's caused so many different diseases and illnesses. It's just something that we really need to let go of. And ironically, we think that we are kind of getting justice served if we continue to hold anger against that person. But really, we're just holding on to a negative connection, a negative experience. And that person only continues, or what they did to us only continues to have power over us, even though that's the last thing that we would believe. That's really what's going on. So the first thing that we do is we really let it go for ourselves. And we let it go also by going to God first. So often when we've been injured, because many of us are Christians, many of us feel like we should go ahead and already start to forgive. There are people who I've spoken to who say, oh, I've forgiven that person. But I can tell that they just kind of jumped right into it so fast that it's not total forgiveness, and they also have not honored themselves and given themselves the time to grieve or to mourn, depending on how severe the treatment was. We all are going to need a moment or months or even years, depending on what happened, to really process through our own emotions. And in that time, I think our first and primary objective should be to go to God and to really let ourselves feel that feeling so that it doesn't continue lingering. Because anything that we don't face or don't walk through will continue to kind of nag and be in the back of our minds and hearts. So God invites us to really take that place, that heart that we have and that wound that we have, and just put it at his feet, to cry out to him, even to be kneeling before him, knowing that he surrounds you in that moment with love and is ready to just place that love upon your heart and to invite him to do that. I mentioned before in the other video that sometimes people hurt us, and it hurts so badly because they actually stepped on old wounds. If we have old wounds, that means that there's something that only God can heal. No matter what the people presently in our lives do or say, there's a limit to what they're able to correct and take care of deep inside of us. But there is no remedy like love itself. And God is the great, great healer because of who he is. And the fact that he lives in us and always wants to heal us is a tremendous gift for us that we really should tap into and continue to seek him for. So going to God is so important for us, recognizing that this is really for our own well-being, that when we have those feelings come up, we can actually say to ourselves, what is this doing in my body? Okay, well, I feel really tight. It's making me not breathe so well. What is this doing in my mind? Okay, it's giving me a lot of anxiety and turmoil. Okay, is that helping me? No. I've already been injured enough by what happened. The last thing I'm going to do is to carry around and bring to the forefront of my mind things that are only going to injure me more. So just being aware of how things are affecting you, and the fact that you have say over what you think about and then how you feel, and that you can tend to yourself now in a way that you should have been tended to before, but you can give yourself that gift. And that's what God wants you to have. And he wants you to experience his healing. And then as you'll start to think about forgiving that person, and by God's grace, it'll start to feel a little bit more possible depending on what happened. And more you can take on thinking the way that he did if you seek to. And you can see kind of beneath all of the crap that was on the surface and kind of into the heart of that person and the heart of what God wants for them. And so that's, a big part of this too. And just because you forgive someone also does not mean that they need to be in your life. God wants us to make wise decisions. He wants us to love other people, but he also has a certain role and a certain place for every person in our life. That might mean that you could have a casual relationship with somebody with boundaries of how often you see them or how much of your heart you share with them. Or it might mean you have no relationship with that person. But I know a lot of people who have stayed in, let's say, romantic relationships because they're constantly forgiving because they feel they're supposed to forgive. And as much as we are supposed to forgive, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's God's perfect will for you to be with that person in that way. And if that person continues to do the same things over and over and over and doesn't show any sign of real change, then that's really not the atmosphere that God wants for someone he treasures like he treasures you. So just keep that in mind too. I hope that this has been helpful for you, and just know that you can have more of that liberty. You can give yourself that gift, and that God wants you to have that, and he will continue to strengthen you. And as he does, you can keep doing the strong thing, which is to care for yourself and also to see the person and the situation the way God does. God bless you. All right. Bye-bye.